Taking on the #1 seed in the NFC against the Atlanta Falcons, we had a pretty solid first half, keeping up really step for step with them. Going into half with a close game, we were down a field goal, though that only really grew when we hit that second half. We struggled to complete passes, we struggled to stop the Falcons from scoring, and ultimately we lost pretty big, 45-24. And as we enter the final week of the regular season, for us just the whole season, we are going to be without Peter Rice. He did suffer an injury in practice, dislocated wrist, so we're not going to have him. Ethan Graham, one of our starting linebackers, he was injured a few weeks ago, still going to be out, as well as still a few other guys. We are out Tyron Smith, who did get injured last week, and still David Andrews on the IR. We haven't been able to bring him back, even though he's been healthy for many weeks. We are also missing Dante Ayers, one of our young rookie receivers. I was hoping that he would be able to get some play time in the final week, but unfortunately, he will not. But when it comes to who else might see a little bit of some more play time going into this week, we don't really have anyone I feel like on offense I want to try to get out there. We might see a little bit of Bryce Williams at running back. He hasn't had much of a chance out there. He's been our kick returner this year. Obviously, we have Cam Akers, and he's been really solid, but it's weeks 18, and there's not a whole lot on the line here for us. So we might see a little bit of what Bryce Williams can do. He's got some solid carrying, juke moves, some really good change of direction, some catching out of the backfield as well. Just lacks the trucking stiff arm and definitely not very highly rated in the break tackle. So all in all, very interested to see what he can do out there. So we're going to give him a good bit of playing time in this game. As for the receiver core, I don't really expect much of a change here. We don't really have that young guy to put out there. Jarrett is already a starter, and we just mentioned Ayers is injured. When it comes to the defensive line, though, I do think we need to see a little bit more of Steven Stewart, the rookie. He has good power moves up at an 80, though lacks in the secondary skills. With a boost, 70 for block shedding, 67 finesse moves, but we still have not seen much from Carl Lawson, so might as well give the final game to the rookie and see if there is much that might hint at any future talent for him. We also have another rookie in Dwayne Woodyard. I would also like to get out there a little bit more. His skill set is singularly towards finesse moves. The block shedding is a 62 with a plus, so we'll probably rotate those two, meaning Stewart and Woodyard, a little bit in this game and still keep with Johnny Smith out there. Now at the DT spot, our youngest guys are the guys that have been starting in Luke Peak and Nick Bell. Would love for them to have a good game, but they've been pretty disappointing this season. As for the linebackers, Arthur Solomon, the rookie, is going to be getting the start again due to the injury of Graham. Murray, going to continue to start, and Chanel will continue to be the third starter, with Graham being that injured guy. So we're going to see a little bit of some of the younger guys. Now, for the cornerback group, again, we are out Peter Rice. So this is going to be the first time that we're going to see Josh Conley play a little bit on the outside. He does not have great press. That's at a 74. So I plan on splitting his snaps. Whenever in the base package, he'll be one of the two cornerbacks out there. But when we do go out in nickel, I am going to have Benjamin St. Juste go to the outside because he has that press ability. As for the safety spots, we don't really have any younger guys to put in. Obviously, Lamont Swain has been a starter. At strong safety, we could go ahead and put in Kenya Smith. We did trade for him earlier this season. He doesn't have the best ratings, but need to see what options we have on roster. He does have good tackling ability, because most likely we're not going to be having J-Ron Curse return next season, as he will be turning 32. We need to find a younger guy there to build around. So we have some younger guys coming in, and it's going to be against a big opponent for us, the San Francisco 49ers. I can't quite remember how that first game went against them earlier this season, and it was actually the game that we opened up this season with, and it was a lot of scoring for all teams in the first half. Second half, no scoring took place. They had just over 300 yards of offense. We were barely under 150, so our offense was not moving. That was with Bo Harold at starting quarterback. Obviously, we have CJ Stroud, who has been struggling, and we're going to see how possibly both of them finish off this season, going into an off season that very much Probably. It's like a 99% chance we will have the #1 pick and can do whatever it is we need to with that selection. So let's see how this team wraps up Season 3. Week 18 begins on offense as this game is underway. We got Zonovan Knight set back to return with Williams getting the start at running back. And it's going to be basically at the 25 for this offense to head out. CJ Stroud gets the start. We'll see if he makes the most of it. For stretches of the season, he was looking really good. Had a 2, if not more, touchdown interception ratio. But over the latter part of the season, that has definitely dipped way low and has become a negative, as we maybe gain about a yard or so on that play. So it's safe to say that Stroud's position is not safe moving into this offseason. As we get this one out to Nakua on the jet sweep, going down the sideline, Burgess in pursuit. Here comes a defender who picks him up and slams him down out of bounds. An injury for Boogie Basham there. But we're down to the 22. And that's a play we might need to get a little bit more involved next season. As we're close to the end zone here, just outside the red zone. Got Palmer going towards that back pylon. Though they cover it pretty well, but it opens up and we find him. A quick drive to open the game. Got the step on Lenore and capitalizes. We take a 7-0 lead. And that's just been the most confusing part with Stroud, as dude can play. He's just extremely inconsistent, and it's the opposite pretty much of what the 49ers have in Brock Purdy. 24 touchdowns to 3 interceptions this season. Though, obviously, the 49ers have a lot more talent around Brock Purdy. But still, we need to be able to see a little bit more of that, considering they're pretty similar in terms of their overalls. As they roll out, we'll find Ayuk cutting by one, nearly breaking away from another, but we do get the stop at the 40. As for this defense, though, moving into the offseason, we don't need to do a whole lot for the DB group or the linebacker group, but it's this defensive line, as there's a fun tackle from Murray Jr. from underneath a blocker. Grab the ankles. But that is really what we need to see from this defensive line. We need to see plays like that. Just make something happen as a Debo slaps that one away. And primarily for the defensive line, we need to find someone who's going to be that main pass rusher. Obviously, we've had Smith, who's had overall a pretty good year. But we need to see more, as we had some pass rush on that play, and we will get the stop. Solomon out to get the tackle at the 45. It should be a punt. And that's just about as good of a start as you could ask for. Now, obviously, we need to keep doing it. I would love to get a win in this game just to throw a wrench in the plans, as there's a good juke, though not a great block after from Palmer. Could have been a bit more than gain of 7, but either way, a great run for Williams. But today's goal is definitely to throw a kink in the plans here with the 49ers. Currently the 6th seed in the playoffs, but if they lose, who knows what could happen. And maybe if we could get any of these passes to the fullback on the run, maybe these things will build towards something bigger. But we do get the first down there. And that's definitely something we need to work on with all of our quarterbacks. They've all kind of had that problem. As we're trying to find somewhere across the middle, tossing it up, and it's going to get picked off. Just like so many of these deep passes have been this season. It's Hufanga with another one against us. He's probably up at around 8 in total this series. I mean, you would like to see the receiver try to be a little bit more aggressive in making that catch, but overall it wasn't put in a good spot to see our receiver do well, and their receiver doesn't do well out of the backfield. Perhaps heard the footsteps of Conley. It was dropped by McGee as they now split the backfield here. And we'll run it to the outside. Getting to the outside is McGee. Missing one, but we get the tackle with Chenal. And on 3rd and goal, they come out spread. Trips to the left. Lone Kittle to the right. We send the quick blitz. Picked up well, forcing the roll. And Conley does not pick it. Nearly put it in the breadbasket of Ayuk, but it hits the turf and we'll get another stop. Or perhaps close enough here for Moody. Gonna be around a 56, 57 yarder. It's leaning back in and does squeak in. He had plenty of power, was the accuracy in question, but at the very end it pulled true. Now, I'm not sure if Madden actually keeps track of the stat. I don't think they do, but points off of turnover, I would love to see what that is, because I'm sure it cannot be good for this team as we give it to Williams and it's another near first down. So far today, O-line is clearing the way for him. As on 2nd and 1, we're going to try to set up the halfback screen behind a blitz, which we do get it out there with one block. Need another from McAllister. No, we don't get it, nor do we get the stiff arm. A key tackle there for the 49ers defense. Otherwise, that might have been a whole bunch more. But if you guys were not here yesterday for that episode, Corey Davis had a fantastic game, and we're going to try to see if we can get him open here, though they actually cover it pretty well. Try to step up, but Hargrave drops us, loss of 3. So we'll shake it up on 2nd and long then. Need to get to around that opposite 45. An RPO dialed up. We'll swing it out there quickly. Try to get a block. Not much of one. Back to the original line of scrimmage. We definitely do like our crossing routes here with these receivers. So let's see if that helps us out on 3rd and long. A little bit of play action dialed up in there as well as they test Hufanga again. Palmer did get a palm on it, but definitely was not going to bring that one down. 4th and 10 at the 46. Got a punt. But overall, it was not a bad first quarter. Definitely better than the first matchup, but this team has changed a lot. They'll be starting at the 15 to start this second quarter. Brock Purdy gonna get jumped by Adebo. We take over immediately inside the red zone. He came into this game with only 3 interceptions on the season, and we add on at least another. Plus an opportunity to widen our lead. Though they do have the press coverage on the outside, so we'll stick with a run to Williams. Trying to bounce it and does shake a couple tacklers, and we'll pick up an impressive 2 yards. So far, enjoying what we're seeing from Williams. His first real chance out there at the running back spot. As we tried to toss that one up for Jarrett, the hit nearly gave it right back. So on 3rd and long, needing to pick up at least the first down at the 5. And again, try to set up that halfback screen, though they read it pretty well. Instead, we go to the corner, and it's not brought in. It was close. But they say that second foot was out from Tommy Tremble. While part of me would like to challenge it, I'm not going to risk that here. Let's widen our lead back to a touchdown, capitalizing at least off of the interception of Paulson Adebo. And if we could find a way to keep forcing mistakes from this 49ers offense, we could have ourselves a pretty fun Week 18 as McCaffrey gets dropped, Stewart and Murphy Jr. in the middle. And so far, the experiment of Conley on the outside, plus still playing a little bit of that slot, doing pretty well. As they're spread 2 to either side here, will be a throw. Kittle close to the first, but Solomon gets the tackle, leaving 3rd and 2. And we'll have a chance at getting another stop here if the D-line comes through. It's the I set as we send the quick blitz, but they're going to time up the throw to Debo. Up to about the 50. Not going to mess up Adebo and Debo today. That is also one of the goals. But Chenal did nearly hit home on that play. About a step and a half back. Maybe if he jumped, could have swatted it down. Either way, it is still a first for the 49ers, playing off of it. Some more play action, dumping it off for Kittle. A short game. Purdy 5 of 9 today, but just for around 35 to 40 yards. So it's not been fantastic passing, at least for him. As it opens up here for McCaffrey with a subtle juke, shakes the safety, another juke, and nearly breaking away before Murphy Jr. gets back there. And I'm pretty sure I just said Murphy Jr. I think I've done that a couple times this season. Murray Jr. As they're down at the 26, sticking with a lot of I sets here. An easy pocket, gonna deliver a good throw, and not a strong enough hit from Kenya Smith. Shook off as Sidney Bushrod ties this game up. And that is why we took the field goal on the last drive, leaving this game tied rather than us potentially going down. As we start our next drive here, they bring down the safety. He's gonna go Nakua across the middle, takes the shoulder from Lenore, but holds on for a gain of 4. We definitely play a whole lot across the middle, and in this final game, maybe want to try to work out a little bit more with plays to the outside. See if that opens things up here for us, as we do have a lone receiver to the outside. It's going to be caught Corey Davis with a first down. Stroud did a good job there of working through his progressions and then working back when no one was open. Ended up finding that guy we need as it opens up down the middle here. Williams finding McAllister for an extra block and another first down. Might be a low overall running back, but so far liking what we're seeing. As we're going to try to play off it with a little bit of some play action across the middle, and nearly caught and nearly could have been an interception from Lenore. Those late crossing throws have been a problem with Stroud this season. As we're setting up an RPO here, go right down the middle. Williams breaking by and did you see that extra push at the end? That should have been a second and inches, but he kept fighting. Picking up about another 2 yards and the first down, sending us to the 2-minute warning. Anytime you can make Fred Warner look silly like that, gotta appreciate it. We got two high safeties, but they both leave, and Jarrett over the top of Ward. Two high safeties, no problem, especially when they don't cover. The rookie grabs another one, and Corey Davis is freaking out. Now with 1:55 seconds left, Brock Purdy the chance to lead his team down the field, and he bounced back well from his interception 2 drives ago with a perfect performance last drive, going 5 of 5. As we start off with a near gain of 5, they're going to mark it gain of 6 to Kittle. Sitting in shotgun, got 2 over to the right-hand side, 1 to the left. Some zig plays trying to get to the outside though, and they will find one of their other tight ends. That's Latu with a first down. And once again, right on back, a lot of quick play here from the 49ers. Conserving those timeouts, trying to get down the field a little bit quicker, and barely found Kittle there, but just off the fingertips. Well, at least allow both teams to catch their breath. With 1:03 on the clock, again, 3 timeouts still for both teams. Setting up with an underneath play and knocked out by Murray Jr. Intended for Ayuk, 3rd and 10. And we'll come out with a stacked front here, though. Expecting the pass, will back out. Just need to get off the field as they call up a draw. Nearly works well there. Let's call a timeout. See if they're going to go for it or not. If not, we might have a chance at some more points here before half. And they will punt it away. We start back at the 17. 45 seconds on the clock. We have 2 timeouts off coverage here with a possible 1v1 with Palmer. As they do shade that way, but we go deep. The hit knocks that ball up, and Palmer couldn't quite find it. Mitchell knocks it away. For any chance at some points here before half, we're going to need at least a big play or 2. Going to try to find one of those through the halfback screen with some blocks out in front. McAllister does get that one. Williams sprinting out of bounds with a first down up to the 31. And now with some press coverage on the outside, can Nacua slip the sideline here? We'll see if he can find some space. No time, though, as Bosa, screaming around the edge, gets the sack. Probably go ahead and run this one to half from there. Trying to play this one a little bit more conservative and not give some of the opportunities up that we have in the past. This is a big game, more so for bragging rights, as we are up 17-10 at halftime in the final week against a divisional foe who, again, we might be able to knock out of the playoffs. As for another divisional foe, who's probably not going to be missing the playoffs. It is a close game, 7-10 Seahawks down to the Falcons. It's the 1v2 seed in Week 18. Possible NFC Conference Championship showing, perhaps, as it's a big win here for the Steelers in the final week. They improved to 8-9 with a 21-10 win over the Lions. Still probably going to miss out on the playoffs, though. As for the final update, Cardinals against the Jaguars. Cardinals up 12-7 with a couple minutes left before halftime. Cardinals could also finish 8-9 with a win. But as we get our second half underway, it's the 49ers offense out first, only managing 10 points in that first half. Did not see many big plays from McCaffrey, who's still pushing forward there, gets a gain of 3. The defense has done well to limit his impact on this game, primarily from the linebackers, I feel like. Haven't seen any major play from the D-line in this one, as Ayuk does squeeze out the first down after shaking the first tackler. Now, having said, I haven't seen much from the defensive line. They have gotten some pressure on a couple plays, but they haven't hit home yet. Force it to the outside. A nice juke from McCaffrey, and it's another gain of 7. With it being a second and short here, we're going to bring out the heavier D-line. 3 DTs out there, as they'll go with the play action roll across the middle. Murray slaps it down, intended once again to get that one to Ayuk. But it was a better play from our star middle linebacker, leaving third and short. They got 2 spread either way, including Juszczyk to the left-hand side. It will be a halfback screen, trying to get it out to McCaffrey, who shakes the tackle of Chenal and does get that first down. Shockingly enough, that was the first catch for McCaffrey in this game. They have not gone his way often in that area of an offense. As they go back to him right down the middle, he's just been a ground and pounder so far today. 7 carries for about 43 yards. Does leave him with a second and 6. As they have 2 off to the right-hand side, we get pressure from Smith, who dives, misses, and they connect downfield to Bushrod. How do these throws always make it to their target when under pressure? Meanwhile, we can barely make a 2-yard throw. Just absolute insanity there. That is all Madden for you. As they're spread once again here, got 3 to the right-hand side, going across the middle, beating the levels of the defense, and Bushrod grabs a second, not only touchdown, but a second leveler. Well, I will say, of all the young guys getting their starts today, the only one impressing is Williams, as we'll go to him here on first down, and he's met in the backfield. Loss of 1. Bosa and another edge rusher get there about at the same time. Though even that is still a better play than what we've seen from some of the defender young guys who are getting the start. The strong safety not doing much to impress, as we're going for Tommy Tremble, who does not control it, drops it, 3rd and 11. We'll say Tommy Tremble hasn't done anything special this year, but he's been all right, provides a good bit of balance at that tight end position. As we're going to try to get this one out for Nacua, who does get the catch, shakes 1, but not quick enough to get around Fred Warner. 4th and 3, way back, we will have to punt. And this really is the opportunity the 49ers offense need here to get in front. They have not been able to do that so far today, as McCaffrey starts off with a big rush and jukes, just gaining more space in between defenders as he breaks off his biggest of the day near midfield. Up to that point, linebackers have done a pretty good job of containing on him, but broke away that time with a rush to the outside. As once again, Brock Purdy scrambling here. He's actually going to step up. Solomon misses, but I think his toe tapped the ankle and caused the trip. I guess that's one way to stop the scramble. Not quite a way you want to rely on getting the tackle, but we'll take it there. As a nice cut from McCaffrey will net about a gain of 4 yards. It looked like Murray Jr. shot the gap well, but just the quick read ends up being a gain rather than a loss, or even just back to the line of scrimmage, as McGee not as smart, and a flipping tackle there, even though I think he just grabbed the ankle. That's a little bit of some Madden ragdoll effects for you. As it's 3rd and short, they bring out 3 tight ends with a quick slant opposite way. It's nearly intercepted after getting tipped up. We do hold, will be a field goal attempt. Moody already hit 1 earlier from about 57. This one is going to be about 46, so a much easier attempt, and it is up and nearly right down the middle, though still good for Moody, and it does put the 49ers on top. Now, what we need here from our offense is just a good, consistent, methodical drive. March down the field, and it's going to start with a run by Williams, who nearly spins away from Greenlaw, gain of 3. Just want to take what they give us, and hopefully they give us something here. On the receiver screen, we got some blockers out in front who do well to get their blocks. Going to be a first down for Palmer and out of bounds, as that should send us into the 4th quarter. All around, feels like a pretty good game from us. We are down 3. An opportunity, though, to retake a lead with a good, smart drive. But that's been the problem that we've had, is being smart when faced with adversity. As Williams, right down the middle, gonna weave to the outside. Ward does get the tackle, but it's another big run from the rookie running back, getting his first career start. But after that run, we will send him to the sideline, let him catch his breath. Gibson out there to spell him as we go again right down the middle with a strong run, though ended up being stood up after a gain of 3. Again, just looking for that methodical, simple drive down the middle. 1v1 on all the blocks, and we'll gain a couple more yards. And on 3rd and 4, we're at least in field goal range here. Hard count, no one jumps. Setting up some read option. Stroud to the outside, picks up one block. He's trying to get all the way to the outside, avoid any sort of tackle, shove, anything. And he does get out of bounds at the 21 with that first. We have not broke out the read option very much at all. It works that time. As we're just outside the red zone here, setting up another run down the middle. Williams with a gain of 3, averaging 7.6 yards a carry. And potentially, we needed to get him involved a bit more early on here because he's having himself a game. Making an audible here, Jarrett, or a hot route. Jarrett coming on the quick drag, trying to get the one-on-one to the outside, though they cover that one pretty well. Stroud rolls and gets rid of it. He had Jarrett working his way open, but not enough time. Now on 3rd and 7. Again, still in range to tie the game here. Obviously, we want more than that. As we set up the halfback screen, we get it out just in time. Williams turns, shakes off one, but can't quite get away. Ran out of stamina there, but does pick up the first, down to the 7. Stroud barely got that one off before the hit arrived. But we're inside the 10 now, 1st and goal. Gibson trying to break to the right side, straight through, actually not Bosa. That was one of their many other superstars. If we're being honest, they really just have too many. Slant routes called here. Gotta be safe with the throw. Step it up, Stroud will work into the end zone, retaking that lead. Who needs a leveler? Well, you could grab another lead. 4 points, gotta protect it. But with 4 minutes on the clock, 4:09 to be specific, and all 3 timeouts for the 49ers, did we leave them too much time? They'll start off with a throw across the middle and over the top of the linebackers. They've found that gap between the linebackers and the safeties fairly often today. I just need to tell these safeties, play down a little bit. They haven't gone for the pop shot over the top yet, though saying that, they very well might. As they hand this one off, McCaffrey slowed down by, I want to say it was Nick Bell, then cleaned up by the linebackers. Trying to do as well of a job as we can of changing up our looks defensively. Switching between man and zone as there's the big tackle, Murray Jr. right down the middle. But definitely trying to switch up those looks just to try to avoid giving up those pop plays as we've done a few times today, though not as much as we've seen in prior games. As it's going to be a scramble here, Purdy slides down, leaving 4th and 6 at about midfield. And they'll have the 2-minute warning to consider what they do. Do they punt? They have all timeouts, but they say no. They're going for the continuation, at least, of this game. They are down 4 points. Setting up a zig route across the middle and dropped by Ayuk. He shook Murray Jr., who's celebrating for not having a great play. We get lucky, and we send them off the field as our offense has a chance to run out some clock. And of course, it's gonna be behind Williams, who has had himself a great debut. And we'll stick with him here on the RPO. Down the middle, Fred Warner with a sure tackle. First timeout called. 1:52 left on the clock. Another RPO, though, again, playing that press. We'll stick with a run to the outside. Williams gets a juke on Hufanga, shakes one, breaking to the outside, though he's about tapped and shoved out at the 17. A little bit of some extra play at the end there, but no flags. But we're down inside the red zone. What a debut for the young guy here, helping lead the way to hopefully a victory, knock on wood. As we try to set up the halfback screen here, it does get out late and too late as the hit comes in. It will be 2nd and 10. They still have those 2 timeouts. Give this one back to Gibson with a lead block from DeGuara. Stretching to the outside, though, stays inside, or at least in bounds, to force that timeout to be called. And with only 1 timeout remaining, this is about it for the 49ers. We send Nakua in motion. He gets the quick toss to the outside, just trying to kill some time as he picks up a little injury himself there. A really unfortunate one going into the offseason with an injury, but for this game in particular, it does stop the clock. They still have a timeout remaining. As we hand it off to Williams, bounces it, and gets stopped by McAllister. Well, with 3rd and goal. A touchdown would do pretty well to end this game. It's a hard count, no one jumps. Second hard count, Williams moves. Gonna back us up here. I was hoping to catch him sleeping a little bit there, have him jump, but no. 3rd and goal. We need some amount of points here. Field goal makes it a touchdown game. They could tie, or the touchdown wins it. Obviously, we want the touchdown, though we will be throwing for it. No one is open. Chuck it away and do not take that big of a sack. It will be the field goal. Well, what is this team but not the drama? So Brown is out to make it a touchdown game with no timeouts for the 49ers. They'll have to march down the field quickly and effectively if they want OT. And with 1:18, they take the field. Need to protect the outside. We know that's where they're going, as they do get one throw to Debo here, gain of 7. But that clock is moving. 2nd and 3 as we tick at that minute mark. Good press on the outside, though. They find a Debo right down the middle. Murray Jr. and man-on-man, they're not what we want. But I think that's the look that they're trying to force. So let's make a change here. Switch to some zone. As they go once again right down the middle, but deep down the middle in between the linebackers and safeties. We've got to clean that up. And we'll call a timeout there. Need to make sure that we are set for this play, as essentially the area they like to go to is in the touchdown window. As we send everyone back, Purdy trying to buy time, throws it away to avoid the sack. We got 12 seconds left. The potential playoffs on the line here for the 49ers. We are just playing spoiler, as we can ruin it here for them. If we make sure they don't get anything, it's another throwaway. 3rd and 10, 7 seconds left. This could be the final play. They had 2 to the left, 1 to the right-hand side, trying to work those angles again, but no, thrown out, 2 seconds left. Just one play for sure left in our season. Can we play spoilers here? Just don't give up anything, and there's the tackle from Murray Jr. It's a win in Week 18. We'll have to check to see if they made the playoffs or if we just knocked out our rivals. But it was a good, full game from Stroud. Obviously had his ups and downs throughout, but it was a complete game. And our defense played really, really well. We held the 5th ranked in terms of points per game offense to just 20 points. All in all, a fantastic performance today. The San Francisco 49ers had the #1 rushing offense, the 9th passing offense, as mentioned, 5th points per game offense. Their defense was lackluster in the passing game, and we definitely took advantage of that, but they were mid-tier for rushing yards, and Williams had a really good game, which makes me feel a little bit better about moving forward, as some of our running backs are getting on the older side, and with us having that progression-regression slider set from Mr. Hurricane, the regression is going to be a lot more impactful. So Cam Akers, we did extend him this year. He's got, I want to say, 2 more seasons left, going to be 27. So he's got about 1-2 more years left of kind of staying about even, maybe a little bit of growth before he's going to start regressing. So having some young guys who definitely appear like they could take over at least some of the role is really good to see. Williams performed very well today and happy to see it. The defensive young guys, they really didn't. Wasn't all too happy with, or just didn't really see much from, I should say. There was no splash plays from the young defender guys, but all in all, can't be too upset about potentially, again, knocking out our rivals, 49ers, from the playoffs. But it's time to see if we actually did knock them out. So let's jump forward 1 week here and see if we took care of business. And unfortunately, no, we did not. They did still make it as that 6th seed, so it probably means that the Commanders also lost, but it was still fun, and clearly it made the team a little bit more motivated in this game to make the plays, and we got the win. But this is the playoff picture at the end of season 3. As for the teams behind me over on the AFC, the 4 and 5 seeds are the Raiders and the Texans. Texans moved on from Stroud and signed Tua in the offseason. We then obviously ended up trading for Stroud, and he had, as mentioned, a very up and down season this year. And to finish off this season, we are going to be taking a look at the stats. We had the worst offense, 32nd. I don't think that's much of a shock at all. Defensive-wise, 21st. Again, we did really well, I feel like, in stopping the pass most of the games. Struggled in stopping the run in a lot of games. But CJ Stroud specifically, he ends with near 1-to-1, but is negative on the touchdown to interception, 17-18, with just a 51% completion, which is technically still an upgrade off of what we had seen from Bo Harold in the past, who did play a little bit this season, 4 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 46% completion. So we most likely will be making some form of a move at the quarterback spot in this next offseason, which will be out on Thursday. In the rushing department, Cam Akers did have some injuries throughout the year, so he didn't play a full season, but he averaged 4.6 yards a carry, 6 touchdowns, did not fumble. It was a steep drop-off, near 100 less carries for Antonio Gibson, our backup, but he did well again when given the opportunity, 5.3 yards per rush, 1 touchdown, though he did fumble once. Stroud did have 2 rushing touchdowns, but another 5 fumbles. And obviously, we only had the one chance to see Bryce Williams today. 13 carries, 115 yards. Phenomenal. I think we could definitely move forward next year with Akers. Maybe we bring back Gibson depending on regression. Bryce Williams could be a 2, and we could probably move on from Zonovan Knight, given the play we've seen from Williams. In the receiving game, it was spread out a good bit. We never really had that number 1 guy, though I would say Palmer and Jarrett have number 2 guy numbers, both of them pretty even across the board here, though a little bit more yards from Palmer, 662 compared to 626. Both of them 7 touchdowns, so they're very comparable. And if we are to find that down the field receiver, the speed guy, it would probably end up replacing Palmer, because Jarrett as a rookie putting up the same as a 5th-year vet, kind of the story you need to see there. Puka Nacua did have more receptions than both of those guys, with similar yardage totals, averaged about 13.8 yards a catch, did have 2 touchdowns. He was more of the drag route, some short, quick throw across the middle kind of guy, though. Do want to get him more involved on some jet sweeps moving into next season. Tommy Tremble, I don't feel like was all too impactful. Made some plays here and there, but none that I don't think any other tight end would have. As for the offensive line, pretty much ignore in total all of these stats. I have kept track of my own. Obviously, we've made some changes through slider sets and stuff like that throughout this season. And I will say after making those changes, the offensive line much improved, though Dickinson was still struggling when he was out there. He had a pretty good game today. I'm not going to give any of the stats for the offensive line because I haven't edited this video yet. So that will probably be a little segment at the beginning, or maybe when we start looking at making additions to the offensive line in the next episode. So we're going to ignore these for now. As for the defense, another season for Kenneth Murray with over 100 tackles. I got to see what his total stats have been throughout his time here. And it was 115 this year, 118 last year, and 135 in the first season. And none of these seasons, at least yet, knock on wood, he's made the Pro Bowl. So he's gotten robbed several times. He's our main guy on the defense for sure. He did not lead us in tackles for a loss, though. That was Johnny Smith with 16. He was right behind with 14. Nick Bell did have 11, so he's getting stuck in at least a little bit more in the running game, but he's just not consistent with it. And as a 6 overall pick, when we selected him, a little bit of a letdown with a play that we have seen. As for the sacks, it is Johnny Smith as our leader with 9, but then again, a steep drop off to Nick Bell with 3, 2.5 for Murray Jr., 2 for Graham, only 1.5 for Luke Peak this year. He was injured for, I want to say, 3 or 4 games at the beginning, but he really wasn't all too impactful. Solomon did have 1, Conley had 1, Turner had 1. Lawson started most of the year at the outside, and he had 2 tackles for a loss and a sack. So without a doubt, we have to replace Carl Lawson, and I don't think we have a guy on the roster to do so. As for the interceptions, Peter Rice led us this year after not having a single one his rookie year. He gets 4 his sophomore campaign. Love to see it. Wish he got to play in this final game. Though Conley did well on the outside when he had to play out there. He had 2 interceptions. Paulson Adebo had 3. And as for his stats with us, he's racked up a lot of interceptions. Had 3 this year, which was a step back for him because he had 6 last year and 6 in the first year with us. So he's been pretty solid for us for sure. Hopefully we don't see another regression for his development trait. We did have to correct that last time. Kenneth Murray Jr. also had 1, Graham with 1, and J-Ron Curse had 1. Did we force many fumbles this year? Just 2. And of those 2, we recovered 0. But we did have at least a great year from Tanner Brown. 24 of 24 on field goals. He did miss 1 of his 30 extra points though, but all in all, solid for the 3rd year kicker. And if you like punting stats, Ethan Evans averaged about 45 yards per punt. He downed 14 inside the 20 and had 2 touchbacks. And of course, happened earlier, I believe, in the season. We did have our first kick return touchdown, and that was from Bryce Williams. So potentially there was talent earlier on, and we just kept going with Cam Akers, who obviously deserves it. He's been our guy. No punt returns, though. All in all, there was some good play this season, and if a couple other games just went slightly more in our way, I think we could have been at around a 500, if not slightly higher team. We definitely had some close games that we let slip away. So need to correct that next year. I want to be in the playoff hunt next year. So we need to be aggressive in the offseason, make the changes, and get this team moving in the right direction. Because consistently being 4 or less wins is not it, as we could be fired. So don't want that to happen. So until next time, which will be on Thursday, this series out every single Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, we will have the off season. Free agency, the draft, probably some trades I'm sure will take place, whether they're for players, they're trading away players, or maybe pick swapping. Who knows? We will see what we have in store next time. To make sure you don't miss out, hit that bell icon on the bottom right or scroll down, hit the subscription button, and definitely tap that bell icon. Again, we got this series 4 days a week, plus tomorrow and Saturday, Wednesday and Saturdays, every single week we have the state-only challenge or states-only challenge, where we take a team made up of players from a specific state or group of states and try to win a Super Bowl within 5 years. We're currently in the Southwest, and we're about to have our off-season there as well. So a whole lot of off-season, plus the whole second season as well, all included in tomorrow's episode. So do not miss out, and hopefully they're in the playoffs, as this team is also working their way to their playoffs. So we'll see you guys next time for some off-season shenanigans. Bye.